It's a bit of a miracle to see Clipse return after 15 years of near dormancy and manage to still make such a massive impact. I'm glad to see them get their flowers and to see so many love the new album as much as I do. However, it confounds me how this album, this moment in hip hop, managed to be such a pivotal point. I've been aware of Clipse for most of my life, and I too was banging on lunch tables back when grinding came out, but otherwise, they were not a massive part of my musical upbringing. Sure, Pusha T's solo career has definitely been in the back and foreground of my recent musical memory, but the group itself was lost behind the Slaughterhouses, Little Brothers, and Watch the Thrones of the world. One has been my favorite group in all of music for well over a decade. One has been a favorite duo of mine in the last few years since I've discovered them. And the last is made up of two hip hop legends so huge they don't really need an introduction. But like Clipse, each of these rap groups also returned in some way over the last few years, with the exception of Watch the Throne. After a massive hiatus in which one member retired from rapping, my two favorite members of Slaughterhouse formally announced the end of the group, but then reunited to make a lot of new music off the back of that announcement. Little Brother returned after a decade plus long hiatus with a new album a few years back, but it didn't make much of an impact, and I'll be attending their farewell tour in a few weeks here. And the Throne is, well, one of them is more of a businessman than a rapper, and the other is a mentally unstable, drug-addicted neo-Nazi, so the return of that group is entirely a non-starter. Despite how much I personally have connected to the music from these artists, and despite how high quality the bars and the beats have been, their attempts to recapture the spotlight have been so unsuccessful that they've gone ahead and just broken up altogether. As Fonte of Little Brother said on the aptly named Not Enough, "Dope beats, dope rhymes, what more do y'all want?" I would look to the hip hop loving populace and ask the same, wondering why, with the exception of the last example in Watch the Throne, they never embrace these acts with the amount of love their talent is deserving of. Well, Clipse is receiving that same love I've seen my favorite rap groups deprived of, and taking time to listen to Let God Sort 'Em Out has done a lot to illuminate why. Hello, this is Emmett, and I'm editing the video right now while you're listening to this. You're listening to this for two reasons. Number one, I wanted a reason to use this gameplay of the PlayStation 2 game Malice that I captured as a bit that I was going to use in the video, but then didn't find a way to use it. But then I found a way to use it, which is what you're listening to now, because, and all more importantly, I fucked up in this video, y'all. I really messed up. It's not too bad, but it's just a little bit of misinformation that I kind of perpetuate throughout the video. There is a rumor that has been going around for years that Malice was a pastor in the years since Clipse broke up. That seems to not be the case. I'm not seeing any primary sources for that information, and I'm seeing a lot of, oh, Malice shuts down the pastor rumors. I'm seeing a lot of that around. So I don't think he was actually a pastor, but I didn't bother to look that up before recording. So you're going to get a lot of references of me saying, oh, Malice was a pastor. Malice was not a pastor. Malice was not a pastor at any point. He did give his life to Christ, and he was a very devout follower, and he did make Christian rap music for a very long time. But he is not a pastor. He was not a pastor. He probably got officiated to marry his brother Pusha during his wedding, but he is not a pastor. I apologize for that. Please enjoy the rest of the video. And don't play the video game Malice. It is not good. I played this for an hour for a bit, and it wasn't worth it. I wish I could have at least 59 minutes of those back. All right, thank you, goodbye.
Malice, forgive me.
Track 1, Birds Don't Sing, featuring John Legend, Voices of Fire, and Pharrell Williams. Now, the first thing I want to say about this track is that it's not what you expect. So it is a very sit up in your seat start to the album. This song isn't hard in a way that you'd expect a song with Pusha T on it to be, a song with Malice on it to be, but it is still raw, if that makes sense. It's emotionally raw, which I didn't necessarily expect from this album. So it's a really, really cool and, like I said, really subversive start to the album. John Legend does the chorus on this song, and I think John Legend is solid. He's not like my favorite singer in the world, nor is he like horrible or I'm disappointed with him at all. He does a great job. He delivers that emotion. And what I love about John Legend specifically, he has a trait that I like in a lot of different singers, where he doesn't have the most polished voice. He doesn't have the most sweetest, prettiest, most tranquil voice. you can hear the rasp in his delivery. You can hear the pain of getting the words out a little bit, which I think is needed for a song like this. You know, John Legend shares this trait with, you know, artists like Thames, who I listen to a lot, artists like Georgia Smith, who I listen to a lot. He's really good at like delivering that like kind of emotionally wavery vocal delivery, which I think really comes in handy on the song. I think that was a really, really good choice of not only choice of featured artists, but a choice of like direction for them to go in. So I really love that. Cool. Let's look at the bar facts here as far as like my favorite bars from each song. I will be saying the word bar facts repeatedly throughout this video, most likely. One series of bars that Malice had: asking should I rap again, you gave me your blessing. The way you spelled it out, there's an L in every lesson. Beautiful, beautiful way to say that. And they said something else about let your mess become your message. Oh my God. Just incredible. Like, I think Malice's time being a pastor has gotten him way better at delivering bars like that, or maybe his ability to deliver bars like that is what made him a good pastor. Because Malice did for a long time before this album came out, in between this and the last Clipse album, he became a pastor. He walked away from hip hop entirely, and he did a couple of albums, but they were more like in the Christian rap sphere. But he's back here and giving quotables like that. Let the L, there's an L in every lesson. Like, that's perfect. And asking for his father's permission to rap again. I really do feel like, you know, the death of their parents kind of made, you know, Malice and Pusha kind of lean on each other a little bit more, because they are not all the family that they each have left, but like the amount of family they have available to them shrank, and so they had to lean more on the pillars that were still there. And I honestly think that that tragedy might have helped get them back together, get them back more comfortable, and kind of light the fire that would eventually turn into this new album. I really do think, we talk about an L in every lesson, that L of their parents dying might have been the thing that taught them, hey, we still have chemistry when it comes to this rap stuff. We still are brothers and we still love each other like brothers. Why don't we come back and do this album? So I really do like this first track. This first track kind of like indirectly kind of talks about, hey, here's why we're here. Here's kind of the things we've been going through since we were last on an album. And it zags instead of zigs. You expect this album to start with a zig, it zags, and it is a really, really, really strong first track. Beautiful first track. Perfect reintroduction to both new fans and old fans. I think new fans might understand who Pusha T is. He's Mr. Big Bad Boogeyman, who revealed that Drake has another child, or has a child at all. But you don't see this side from him on a lot of the stuff that, you know, when you hear Pusha T's on a track, you know he's going to be disgusting. This isn't that. So it's a surprise to new fans, and to old fans who are expecting the old Clipse. It shows a lot of maturity and a lot of growth since that old Clipse was, you know, top of the charts back in the day. So it's a really, really, really dope start to the album. That leads us into track 2, Whips and Chains, or excuse me, Chains and Whips, featuring Kendrick Lamar. Now, I'm be honest, I know Kendrick's on this track. I know I'm Mr. Kendrick. I know I have To Pimp a Butterfly in the corner of the room up here, and did it fall down? Oh no, it didn't. It's just further up. Right above To Pimp a Butterfly, I have a PlayStation 4 controller with like To Pimp a Butterfly on there, because it's the same color. It's like the PlayStation 1 Gray Anniversary Edition. Anywho, I love Kendrick. This song is not my favorite song on the album. It's just not. It's not my favorite song on the album. It is very good. Kendrick gave a great track, but there are so many better songs on this album that a lot of people might expect this to be my favorite track. It simply isn't. A lot of conversation has been had about that track, about this track, because Kendrick is on it. I don't understand. Like, the track is great and it's very dark in a very modern way. I think Pharrell is channeling No Church in the Wild off of Watch the Throne. I think he's channeling that instrumental style a little bit here. But the verse that everyone was talking about, this Kendrick verse, is technically great. Like, he is technically rapping so well, so impressively, and a lot of good punchlines in there too. but I don't understand how this verse gets the controversy that people were talking about. I understand that this album got delayed for quite some time because people were concerned that, or I guess, you know, label executives, whatever, people behind the scenes were concerned that Kendrick was going to be saying something controversial, something that, especially with the Drake beef just having happened, something that was going to go against Drake, something that was about Drake, something that was venomous in some over the top extreme way. And listening to the verse, I'm like, this is like typical Kendrick venom. Like, this isn't more aggressive than he's been in any real way. So that was a really, really strange controversy to hear about. And also, I don't understand why this album got delayed because of this track, or because of this verse. I think, you know, the verse is great, but it's like, I don't feel like he threatened anybody on that song. Maybe because he said Trump at the end of it, talking about a Trump card, and sparing lives. Like, maybe people got spooked, but I don't see the justification for it. It just seems a little bit silly. But the verse itself, like I said, is technically really impressive. A lot of Jen with the rhyme scheme. He's talking about, you know, one push niggas will fall like Jenga. Niggas want the tea, well here's the ginger root. Like, a lot of Jen and Jen, like jet words, a lot of good alliteration with that J. So he's doing good on that verse. Pusha T, this is a track almost created from the ground up for someone like Pusha T. This is a dark, sinister, kind of evil sounding track. Pusha T just thrives on a track like this, so this is a very, very good track on it for him. His flow is really good. He has a really good line, and very iconic line. This is the type of line that people are going to get tattooed on themselves. I will close your heaven for the hell of it. That is such a crazy bar. The fact that I will ruin everything you hold dear just for fun. Like, that is evil, but it is in line with Pusha T's kind of persona. So I think that's really dope. Malice is dope on here as well. And Malice is going to be an MVP on a lot of the tracks we talk about here. But overall, this track, it's just like a really good tone setter. It's just a really good, like, kind of, not even dip your toe in the water, but like, let me put my whole foot in here. Like, it's not small enough and minor enough to be just toes. It's a little bit more than that, but it is a good, like, introduction, even though it is the second track. It kind of dips into that range that, you know, most of this album is going to be, and surprise, most of this album is going to be in this range. But it's really dope. Malice brings it with the bars, Pusha T brings it with the bars, Kendrick brings it with the bars. Overall, the track is really solid. Track 3, we go on to POV featuring Tyler, the Creator. Now, this beat gives me Miami Vice City vibes. Like, it's very kind of like inspired by like a Miami Vice or a Grand Theft Auto Vice City, or it just has that vibe of like just cruising on the beach, and kind of that is that kind of vibe, but like altered. You can tell that it's like, I don't know if they're sampling something. Like, they could easily be sampling like a Phil Collins song or something, but it just has that energy to it. I don't know why. It just feels like the type of song that you can imagine someone pulling the top back and just driving along the beach coastline to. It's a pretty good beat. It's a really good beat, actually. And a potent opening bar from Pusha T. All I see is 60-day stars and 20-year thousandaires. A lot of this verse is Pusha T talking about how much he hates broke people and non-famous people, and how much better he is than everyone at all that shit. And that's Pusha T's wheelhouse. Like, Pusha T's gonna talk his shit on every single verse. That is cool. But sometimes Pusha T, and I love that line, the 60-day stars and 20-year thousandaires, implying I only see people who have only been famous for a minute, and people who have been famous forever but ain't got the money to show it. Like, that is a clever line. But at the same time, Pusha T just, and maybe this is just his persona on rap, but so much of his bars are like petty, and that is an incredibly petty line. We're gonna get into pettiness a little bit more later on, potentially. But yeah, that a lot of his verse is just like bigging up himself and talking about how everyone else is getting crumbs. Also, yes, this is a Kirby plushie next to me the whole video. You're gonna deal with it. But yeah, I really like the verse, but overall it's just kind of like, all right, Pusha T's on his bullshit. And you want him on his bullshit, but it is bullshit nonetheless. So that is something I keep in mind the entire time. Going further into the track, Tyler the Creator is on here, like I said. This is not the greatest Tyler the Creator verse I've ever heard. This is not his lyrically most impressive verse at all, but you can feel the energy Tyler has on this track. For what I understand, seeing interviews and whatnot, Tyler is a pretty big fan of Clipse. He's kind of a Clipse mega fan. So for him to be on this track at all, this album at all, is probably a dream come true for him. But it's just not his most impressive verse. I've heard him rap more impressively, but it's still very good. He's bringing the energy, and I think the energy does a lot on this track. So I don't really want to talk down Tyler at all. I think his verse is pretty good. The energy carries it the way that the rest of it doesn't, and I like it a lot. And honestly, I think he fits incredibly well on the track. I think he matches the tone of all these rappers, so I think it's great. But we got to be honest, the beat swap for Malice's verse, it's that beat swap and the verse itself that makes Malice's verse just the best on this song. Malice is the MVP of this track. And if we look at some of the bars, it just goes to show what I'm talking about here. Just to think I built a rap career off of no Z. I'm watching new niggas rap just to OD. If I lie to myself, I can sell it to me. I done sung along with rappers I never believed. Like, that is a crazy string of bars. First off, it kind of implies the legacy of his career. First off, with that first bar, I built a rap career off an OZ. I sold bricks and now I rap about the bricks I used to sell. I'm watching new niggas rap just to OD, which is not only kind of a bolstering, a bigging up of the OG guard of hip hop, the old heads, kind of, saluting to himself as an OG and other people of the old guard of hip hop, giving a salute to them, but also kind of like sadly admitting that these new niggas are rapping just to OD, to overdose, like referencing folks like Juice WRLD, who had so much potential, had so much talent, and then they just make a irresponsible decision and overdose on some random shit in some scenarios that they probably shouldn't have ever been in. So it's kind of a contrast between the OGs and the old guy and the new guys, and I think that was a clever way to kind of portray that. If I lie to myself, I can sell it to me, kind of showing here's how good my salesmanship is. I had to sell all this coke all this time. Look how good I can sell shit. I can sell it so well that if I had to sell it to myself, I would still do it. And I done sung along with rappers I never believed. Like, he is so good with the sales pitch. He can admit that even if it sounds good on a track, but he don't believe you've actually lived that life, you can have that sales pitch over your bars that is impressive enough to someone who has lived that life to be like, you know what, that shit's good. It's a weird sensation. There's plenty of people who have not lived that life. I know there were rumors about, someone like Applies who was just living through his brother's life and he didn't actually live the life he rapped about. He's just talking about stories his brother told him. You got folks like Rick Ross, who raps about doing a lot of crazy shit, but he was like a corrections officer before he was a rapper. So like, what is real life when it comes to a lot of these rappers? But if it sounds nice on a track, you can believe it for those 3 minutes. And I think that line is kind of a references things like that. And also talking about, you can listen to it and be in the vibe of the song, but deep down, they ain't really lived that life like that. So I think POV is a really, really good track, a pretty incredible track, actually. Once again, this also isn't my favorite track on the album. Once again, that Tyler verse is just not the greatest verse I've ever heard from him, but I think it matches. I think everything on this track is good. But when we talk about best tracks on the album, track 4 is up there. Track 4, So Be It. This is the most insane instrumental of all time. I can't get over this instrumental. This instrumental is too good. There's like a Saudi Arabian artist that is the sample for this. But on top of like that repeated kind of almost hymnal like repeating of those words in Saudi, you get the bass drop, but the bass is like reverse bass drums, so it sounds unfamiliar. You still feel the drop of the bass, but it doesn't sound like it's in a song that you've heard before. It sounds completely new, completely original. Just sonically, it's crazy, and it makes the entire song sound luxurious but alien at the same time. It's kind of like a gilded castle in another galaxy. Like, it sounds foreign, but also just rich as fuck. Like I feel like I'm too broke to be hearing a track like this, but also it's like a government secret that is some cosmic understanding I should not be aware of. So just an incredible beat. I can't boost up that beat enough. Pharrell put his foot in that one, I swear to God. But then you have great bars from both Push and Malice. Push from the Offset in the first verse: "If I'm not in the telly selling the Yeti, then I'm twirling your bitch like she in spaghetti." I love that. If I'm not on the phone trying to sell work, trying to sell cocaine, then I'm spinning your bitch around on the dance floor like she's spaghetti. Or if you want to get more graphic, you're spinning her around as in turning her over and having your way. So that's just a cold line there. Like, I love the imagery that is invoked with those bars. And then even more impressively, later in his same verse: "Fuck around and get your body traced trying to test me, cause niggas that I'm with like to draw when it's sketchy." Incredible. You got traced, you got draw, you got sketchy, and then I think right after this he talks about, you know, all his shooters being Picassos because they're all artists in their drawing. Like, dude, incredible string of bars right there. The first time I heard that, I did that stink face. You know the stink face. I was so impressed. I was so very impressed by Push's verse, but it keeps going because Malice gets on here and kills it as well. Malice and Push are really tied for best verse on this track, but Mal has the better flow. I think Mal keeps the cadence and the flow of his bars way more consistent throughout his entire verse, and in some ways that's more impressive. But he also has a really hard bar here: "Fly him in, fly him out, only the baddest. If I had her, then you had her, she never mattered." Crazy. You know, kind of, it's a kind of jokey bar, you know, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, you know, where it's like, I was emotionally invested when it happened, but if she gets emotionally invested with someone else, then I'm gonna act like I never was emotionally invested. And it's a little toxic thing we do. That's something, you know, as I get older, I begin to understand that type of mind process as well. But I think it's a really fun bar on here, and once again, that cadence I just read in those bars, he keeps it up throughout the entire track. So I am so impressed by this track. The beat is incredible, the bars are awesome. That is just awesome. That's just one of the best tracks on the album. It's tied for, I think I said I was like, there's two tracks that are like my two favorite tracks. I think So Be It is like number 3. I think I have to admit to myself that So Be It is number 3. It's flawless. It really is flawless. There's not a single dud in that song, and it's really fucking good. Then we get to, this is probably the worst track on the entire album, with Ace Trumpets. Ace Trumpets it was the first single released for the album, and this is the worst track on the album, but it's still pretty good, and I'll explain why I think that. The beat feels too try hard. I really think that's what it is. The whole very slow, drawn out piano and light drums of the opening kind of chorus, and then that really hard, immediate, just like synthesized beat. It's hard, and the contrast kind of just really puts focus on how hard that drop is. But it feels too try hard. I think that little slow piano beat, and you can kind of imagine like the slow motion dancing that's happening in a hypothetical music video for it. You know, it seems like the contrast there, it just seems so well designed to emphasize the hardness of the next beat. But for me, it just feels like it's just trying way too hard to get me to think like, ooh, that beat is hard. So I think just something about that opening just gives that impression. But then also, I gotta be honest, I think half of the blame to me not really loving the beat is the first bar I hear after the chorus. The opening bar from Pusha T immediately sours me on the entire track. Yellow diamonds look like PP.
Yellow diamonds look like PP.
Look, not every bar can be a winner. Not every bar on a classic album, not every bar on a classic song is a winner. But when you talk about the first bar in a track, the first bar is the tone setter. I don't want to hear you talking about PP as a tone setter for a track with Pusha T and Malice on it. I just don't want that. And he rhymes, the entire track kind of rhymes with that scheme. You know, yellow diamonds look like PP, VVs is easy. He keeps that flow throughout the entire song, or for the entire verse, excuse me. And the entire thing just rhymes with PP. And to think of his entire verse rhyming with the phrase PP, that's disgusting and I don't like it. It's not even that I'm squeamish. It's just like, that's lame. Like, that's corny. That's like childish, like whatever. And Pusha T is way better than that verse. I don't want that to be his only bar of quality. And he kills some other verses on here. We just talked about his schemes in the last song. But Yellow Diamonds Look Like PP is not the way you want to start a song like this. And that, even if you had that verse like in the middle of if you had that line in the middle of your verse rather than that beginning, I might be whatever. It would slide way faster rather than something I'd emphasize. But that is not how you open a song. But Malice comes in, and Malice really tears the house down with his verse. I really, really like some of the lines in his verse. Just to point out some of them. Never leaving home without my peace like I'm Mahatma Gandhi. That is crazy. First off, a lot of people are going to pick up on that just because when they think of Gandhi, they don't think of his first name. So that's hard. Leaving home without my peace, gun peace, but also as a man of the Lord, my peace within my spirit. That is awesome. Drugs killed my teen spirit. Welcome to Nirvana. That is an awesome double entendre, double meaning. Just, drugs killed my teen spirit, not only meaning, a reference to Nirvana, where, Smells Like Teen Spirit is one of their biggest hits, and how drugs killed Kurt Cobain, the lead singer of Nirvana, but also moving drugs as a youth, moving drugs as someone in their early adolescence potentially, that kills your teen spirit. That youthful energy you have as a child that some people are able to carry on to well into adulthood. Some people die with it. It died in him early on because he had the hard life of moving drugs, moving weight, and becoming cold to the childlike parts of your body, of your spirit. That is an incredible line. There's so much meaning packed into that bar. And another really good one that I like, dressed in House of Gucci, made from selling Lady Gaga. Incredible. Like I've heard a lot of Coke bars. I've heard a lot of Coke bars where they refer to Coke as snow, Coke as white, and then keep stretching it. Coke as a white girl, and then using specific white girls to refer to Coke. I moved that Lindsay Lohan in Broad Day or Letterman Fallon. Like, all this type of shit. Dressed in House of Gucci, just talking about wearing Gucci clothes, made from selling Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga was the lead actress in House of Gucci, the movie. That is incredible. That is such a good bar. Such a good bar. And then the last little bit of glazing I'm going to do on Malice's verse here. Listen, you are not I. Cross T's, dot I's. I done disappeared and reappeared without a voila. Buddy, that is such a good verse because, look, he's talking about you're not him. He handles business. And by the way he says that he handles business is he is crossing T's, he is dotting I's. He is completing the picture. He is completing the sentences. And I done disappeared and reappeared without a voila. He jumped out the rap game, was a pastor, and now has come back into the rap game now, disappeared and reappeared, and there was no one there to be like, oh my God. Like, their exit did not make as big an impact as maybe I think they did. I gotta be honest, once again, I was not checking for Clipse back at the time when they were super duper popular, especially not at the time where they're... Well, I was checking for them on their first album, but like by the time they got to their third, I was somewhere else musically. But now they've come back. And at first, when they just had, a couple features here and there on like Kanye West songs and stuff like that before he went super duper crazy, they weren't really... What am I saying? It wasn't that big of a deal. But now we have this album and people are paying attention, and now it's a lot of, oh, it is a big deal. And also they've been getting a lot of their flowers for interviews and whatnot. So just that bar is really good overall. I just really like that bar. Disappearing, reappearing is good. So overall, you can tell that I really come around on the song by the end of it. Horrible first impression on this song, but every time I listen to it, Malice's verse just brings me back on board, just makes me like that song again. It is a hard thing to do, but I always come back around on it. That song is really good. Track 6, right after that, All Things Considered. Very chill instrumental, very chill vibe. Feels like a candid snapshot in song form. It feels like, you know, here's just where they are right now. Nothing spectacular, nothing grand. This is just a really quick, here's how life is right now. And both of the verses here kind of have that vibe, have that energy to it. There are some pretty decent bars though. Let's see, we got turn niggas statistics, I'm so sadistic, so religious, that's so malicious, no division, still snow magicians, blitzing niggas for riches, like fourth and inches. I love this series of bars so much, and I gotta be honest, I've heard this song a bunch, but it wasn't until I like pulled the lyrics up and looked at this where I was like, holy fuck, that is an incredible series of bars. So turn niggas statistics, I'm so sadistic, turn niggas into statistics, like, oh, I'm just another statistic, meaning I'm another dead body, I'm another black body that is, you know, lost to a life of crime. Like, that's what you mean by turning niggas statistics, and that act is indeed sadistic. But he's talking about how he is so religious and that's so malicious. Not that religion itself is malicious, but you know who's also religious, who's also on this song and on this album? Malice. Malicious. Incredible bar. Right after that, no division, still snow magicians. Just they work magic with the cocaine, still working magic with the cocaine, just not physically anymore. Now they do so over these bars. And then that last bar, blitzing niggas for riches, like fourth and inches. Oh, it took me a minute on that one. That is, you know, in football, you know, when you do a blitz formation, you're going to run the ball or you're expecting the ball to be ran during a play. You are running down people for their money, like you were on the fourth down in football, and you only need a couple more inches to get that first down and then continue going on to the end zone for a touchdown. God damn. And man, I'm so thankful because I am not like a sports guy. I am so thankful I had an upbringing that made me be in proximity with sports so that I can understand bars like that. Like that makes playing football against my will, well, not against my will, playing football for longer than I really had a passion for it as a kid, worth it, because that bar is incredible. And then we go over to Malice's verse. Made my exit just to make my entrance. Revolving door, maybe I can make a difference. I really like that bar. And that's the bar that ends his verse. But it's just talking about how he left the rap game. He's coming back like a revolving door, and he's hoping that maybe he can do something different with his bars this time. Maybe he can, you know, inspire people in a different way than maybe he did the first time around on those first couple Clipse albums. And hey, it's inspiring me to make this video. That's how good these bars are. So yeah, I really like this song, and it ends with a little kind of feature from The Dream. And I gotta be honest, this Dream little stinger at the end, it feels so small, feels so minor, that for me it feels like it's unneeded, but I hesitate to say that it should be cut out because it is so different from the rest of the song. The whole song kind of just feels like a rap track. Like it just feels kind of basic, and then that comes in from The Dream, and it's like, I don't know what you're adding, but you're adding something that wasn't here before. So because I can recognize that, it makes me not want to take it out. So The Dream's fine. I don't have anything to say against The Dream, but I will say the track overall, it's like a mid-tier track. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but the bars alone make the track worth it every single time. I really like the track once I think about the actual words of it. But here is the other best track on the album, the three-way tie I was talking about. Track 7, Mike Tyson Blow to the Face. Oh my God. First off, brilliant choice to wait on dropping the beat. Having the first like 8 bars or so just be pure acapella, pure no music, just let Pusha T rap. Oh my God, once that beat drops, it's pandemonium in my head every time. It just makes me want to scream. It makes me want to throw something. It is so fucking hard when it drops. And the beat kind of has like a kind of Wu-Tang-y New York bounce to it, but it also has like that signature Pharrell like danciness to it. Like there's something in the background that makes you want to like get jiggy to it, but it's just so hard that it just makes you want to like fold your arms and nod your head aggressively. Like it is great. I really love this beat. This is probably one of my favorite beats on the entire album. It is built to make you nod. Push is flowing in his verse. It's hard to say that there's a lot of bars in Pusha T's verse specifically. There's a couple, clever references here and there, but his flow is really the highlight here. Just the way that Push is saying his words are more important or are more impressive than the words themselves on this track. So yeah, Push is flowing. Really love how he comes in on this track. And Malice too. Malice has some insane bars. His verse is way too short, but with lines like, "You niggas is screenwriters, we dream writers, took change and touched chains like Leonidas. Imitation is flattery. They seem like us, but only 300 bricks can make you Leonidas." Oh my god! Like they cut off the track for a second after that Leonidas bar. Like going all the way from screenwriters, we dream writers, like we make dreams come true. Y'all just make movies. Y'all just make fake things happen. But taking that screenwriter bar and shoving it all the way back four bars later with that Leonidas reference to the movie 300. Oh my god! And even the King Midas bar right before that kind of like gets you into thinking of like old times when there were kings and armies and legionaries and stuff like that to get to the Leonidas. It kind of like lays the field to really make you even to connect you faster to the 300 bar. Like, oh my god, that is such a immaculately made rhyme scheme right there. So I gotta show some props for that. And overall the track is just a really nice boom bappy style rap track. I love it. This is the type of hip hop that I love Slaughterhouse for it. Once again, Slaughterhouse here. I love Slaughterhouse for that type of music, and to see it on a Clipse album, it's really fucking good. So I'm happy for it. The track that is after that is track 8, EBITDA. Now this is some like money, the actual definition of EBITDA, or if you stretch out what those letters are, it's like interest, debt over attribute. It's like some money thing. Like it's the type of thing that about if you're like really rich to the point where you're like manipulating your assets in the bank rich, not just where's my paycheck and I put my money in the bank every week or month rich. This is like I'm manipulating shit in the market rich, like way beyond me. Like I don't even understand what that shit is, but that's part of the flex. Like the fact that what this is showing how much more money you have than other people. The instrumental, I gotta be honest, this instrumental is way more Pharrell than Clipse. It kind of has that like that 2010s era Pharrell type of bounce to it. Like kind of like not literally the song Happy from Despicable Me, but that vibe, that era of music he was in. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Number One, that song he had with Kanye West. I don't know, it just has that energy to it. It has like a bounce to it, but it's definitely way more of a Pharrell instrumental than it is a Clipse instrumental, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but it is true. Shout out to the Summertime Madness sample in the background. I'm not sure if I got the track right. Summertime Madness. It's that song that goes. It's like that really long instrumental track that people know. Look, just go back and listen to music. I don't know if I have every single answer to every single thing on here, but this song also gives a big heavy vibes of the song Bonjour from the Nasir album, which was the Nas album that was all produced by Kanye West. I really like that song and I really like that album. I'll say this song is super duper short. Good verses from both artists, like Malice brings it, Push brings it, but not much in the way of quotables. Just really solid verses and a really solid beat. But neither of the verses hit all that hard, and the track is more of an interlude than anything because it is so short and because it feels so minimally impactful. It just feels like it's just thrown in there, which is fine. I mean, it still sounds nice and it still matches the rest of the album, but overall, it's like another mid-tier track. It is pretty good. Once again, it's in an interlude. I feel like it's kind of clearing the plate, clearing the palette for the next track, because the next track is really fucking good. That track is FICO. Oh my god, FICO is another thing. FICO is related to like kind of sort of like a RICO, where it's some governmental acronym for a court filing thing, like some type of felony charge type thing. I don't really know about it that much, but this song is like the Coke anthem, and I really like this song. I like the beat on it. Let's start with the beat. This is another song that kind of fits in with it kind of fits in with like old school hip hop. When I say old school, I'm not talking about 90s, 80s like you might be thinking. I'm talking 2000s, like Atlanta era rap. Like something about the drums, something about the energy of the instrumental. It's giving me like Young Jeezy, Young Dro, just like a hint of it somehow. It's sloppy but also bouncy. I'm really feeling this type of beat. This is this is in that three-way tie as well of one of my favorite songs in the album, and we will talk about why. Stove God Cooks is on this album, on this track specifically, and dude, I really enjoy Stove God Cooks. He's not an artist I've listened to a bunch, but he pops up all the time, specifically on Griselda projects. And I listen to so much West Side Gun. I've heard Stove God Cooks on those tracks so much. I love me some Stove God Cooks. So to hear him on here, it's like two generations of Coke rap on one track. You got Clipse from way back in the day Coke rapping, and you got Stove God Cooks, who is one of those Coke rappers that is big right now in our generation. And it's awesome to see them both on a track, and Stove God brings it. You know, he's only doing the chorus, but he's clever with it. You know, I turn niggas inside out. That inside out scheme that he has for his chorus is hard. It is really good. He does a lot with the little he is given in this track, and yeah, I just love it. So yeah, it's insane. This song, when you talk about the verses from Malice and Pusha, they keep the exact same rhyme scheme throughout the entire song, complete with internal rhymes every single time. That is so impressive. That is so hard to do. And I don't even have a bar to highlight. I don't even want to pull something out of it. You have to just go and listen to these songs, because to rhyme, Pusha T rhymes his entire verse. Like the first line rhymes with the last line. It rhymes entirely all the way throughout, including the internal rhyme that happens before you hit the end of the line. Same thing with Malice, does the exact same thing. And I think he actually even uses a different like rhyme pattern. Like he's not rhyming the exact same sound that Pusha is, I believe. But still, so impressive. That is such an impressive feat. I can't get over how, like, just from a writing challenge perspective, that is incredible and very hard for people to just write, let alone perform that and make it sound nice. So yeah, that track is just incredible. FICO, just generational track, really. That's just awesome. I love that track so much. Now we round out to getting towards the end of the album here with track 10, Inglorious Bastards. Inglorious Bastards just sounds like something straight off of like a 90s era mixtape. And when I say 90s mixtape, I mean even though this sounds like a 90s mixtape, the beat on this sounds like late 80s. And when I say late 80s, like if you've seen those clips of Jay-Z before Reasonable Doubt, like before his first album, Jay-Z, where he's like rapping in the style of the 80s.
Yo, G, can I get open? You know it. H-Street, can I get open? You know it. Hey, y'all, can I get open? You know it.
You wanna fly style? Jay's about to show it.
Well, Carl, can I? It's never a question of how, but when I rip it, will I quit it? Forget it. Still I always a point whenever I hit it. Writing's forbidden. Don't do it, y'all done it too late, y'all did it. Now straight to the track, I'm burning your back like backdraft. Pros who follow the track gotta stutter. That nigga's fast.
He's like, I be per here, per hippity hop. This sounds like that. This sounds like ancient Hove, like baby Hove. That's what this sounds like. And they're heavy on the this is culturally inappropriate little vocal stems that are throughout the album. You hear a lot of that. This is culturally inappropriate. And that's hard on a lot of the songs, but here they are leaning heavily on it, kind of act like a producer tag, or kind of like a thatpiff.com world premiere, trying to give it that type of energy, which I think is really cool and I really respect. The bars aren't insane, but there's some really good picture painting by Pusha T and really all of them, Malice and Ab Leva, who also has a guest verse on here. And from what I've been seeing in interviews and talks here, Ab Leva was actually in a previous group that Pusha T and Malice were a part of before Pusha and Malice got together to form Clipse. Ab Leva is kind of, that's their LaToya Luckett. I believe that's her name. Like back when Destiny's Child was more than just those three girls, Ab Leva is kind of their comparison for that type of era. And this is a cool little throwback to say, hey, I remember, for a long time, Pusha T and Malice fans, if you remember Ab Leva, this is kind of a, hey, I remember him, and kind of a throwback for you. And just the whole energy of the song is all throwback and all back when things were less polished and more kind of, grimy and slapdash. I really, really like it. It is a fun track. It is a rapidy rap track, but not in like an annoying way, in a nostalgic way, in a vibe way. And once again, not many bars that I want to like pull out the bar facts on, but some really, really good rapping, really good flows over a really good beat. So yeah, I really like that track. After that, we have track 11, So Far Ahead. Similar instrumental structure to Ace Trumpets, but the intro is longer, which I think leads up to the beat switch way better. I think a big problem with the Ace Trumpets thing was it tried to have that little interlude right before the beat drops, and it's way too short for it to properly hype you up. This hypes you up. Now, I will say Pusha T's opening bars are also not cringy either. So he's not talking about pee-pee as soon as the drop hits. So that's already a bonus. So, big ups to Pusha on that. And Pusha's verse is very good in this song as well. One critique I have here, Pharrell, you're not Otis Redding. You trying to kind of have that like 1960s, like raspy, I've been sweating on stage all day type singing type shit. Pharrell, you are not like that. You are not that guy. You are not that guy. And I think Pharrell knows that. So, I don't want to go too hard, but he tries on this song. He's really going for it. And despite me knowing that is not really his strong suit, it works well enough. And I will say his performance does give me the vibe of being tongue-in-cheek. Like, I think Pharrell knows that this is not like his forte vocally, but he's doing it anyway to kind of just give the track what it needs. Where I think if you tried to seek out somebody who had that vocal range here, I think it would be a underutilization of whatever artist you find. So I think it's serviceable enough that Pharrell's in here, but man, to hear Pharrell try to pull that type of vocal styling off, it's weird. It definitely is weird. The track goes hard, but it feels more hyped than hard. Like, it's not like I'm not like scrunching my face up when I hear it all that much, but it's kind of like, ooh, it's like a good vibe. Like, it bounces, but it's not like disgusting as far as the verse or as far as the beat goes. Pusha's verse is really good, but Malice, I think Pusha has really good cadence, but Malice, let me just read some of these bars. Tried to hide the dope in the message like we did the coke in the Lexus. Dude, great bar. Not only talking about, we tried to hide the good shit in the message, as in we tried to hide, good messages within our bars while we rapped, but also him as a pastor, we tried to hide the gems, the good things to learn about in life in my sermons, in my messages as a pastor, just like they used to hide the coke and the Lexus back in the day. That's just I think that's just good imagery and just good, good contrast in those pictures being painted. And this bar, this series of bars is so good to me too. No mistaking me for the Reverend, ushering the money, my confession, how you passed the Whipple Rolls voice, that was me pre 9/11. Now, god damn it, that is so good. Now, no mistaking me for the Reverend, like, he's not that same church boy from the past. He's not just your TD Jakes or your, well, is Eddie Levert like we don't fuck with him anymore for reasons that I remember, but I don't know if people fuck with him now. He's not like your typical pastor, is basically what the bar is saying. But also the ushering the money, my confessions, like his confessions usher, like, okay, good comparison there. And then how you pass the Whipple Rose voice, like talking about all the shit I was doing before 2001, back in the 90s, all the drugs I was moving, all the weight I was pushing. that's how I got this Rolls Royce. Like that's just a really good picture to paint, and just painting it in a very clever way as well. So yeah, I think the verses are good on this song. I think the song overall is pretty great. It's just not the most impactful song, I suppose. But it is still very good. It is still very good. I like it a lot. Yeah, great song, just not very impactful. But that's not really a crime, so I'm not gonna treat it like it is a crime. Even if it was, we'll let God sort him out, because that's the next track, track 12, Let God Sort Him Out / Chandeliers featuring Nas. Instrumentally, this beat is also similar to So Far Ahead and Ace Trumpets, where it's like incredibly hard drop. With the exception here, there's no prelude here before the drop anymore. It's just drop, and it's just Clipse going back and forth the entire first part of this track, and I love it. It is so cathartic after this whole album of them, you rap, now I rap, then you rap, now I rap, then you rap, now I rap. It is so cathartic to finally hear them just go back and forth, bar for bar, even if it's only for a minute or two here on this song. It is so nice to hear them do so. And not that I have crazy bars to point to, but it is just so nice hearing them just go at it. And then you have the last part here where Nas gets on. Nas is sliding on this beat switch. The beat switches for him, and this beat switch is very like probably comfortable for someone like Nas. It's very reminiscent of King's Disease, his series that he put out, that I think he got a Grammy for one of those entries. This beat feels very Hit Boy coded, but he's killing it all the same. It is really, really good. It is a very grand track. Even beforehand, the two halves of the song are grand in two different ways. Where the first part, where clips are going back and forth, it feels grand in that it feels theatric. It feels larger than life. It feels like a drug. It feels like the opening scene of Belly, where they're walking in slow motion. Like, that's what that first part of the song feels like. And then the second one feels like, you know, just a Million Man March, but we're all wearing white suits. That's what that second part feels like. It feels heavenly. It feels like you're walking up to the pearly gates, but like you're rolling deep. Like, it feels garish, but it also feels just like triumphant. I think triumphant is the word I'm looking for. It is a incredible beat selection, an incredible verse from Nas, and Clipse, of course, they brought it on that track as well. I love that track. That track is incredible. It just goes too crazy. It just goes way too crazy. But then that gets us to the final track, Grace of God, once again featuring Pharrell. And it's a good final track. I gotta be honest, for the final track of this album, for an album that has been so incredible up to this point, to get the final track and it's just a track that's like pretty good, is like 0.623% disappointing, but it's really good still. It's still a good final track. You got some great bars from Malice going first, which is very uncommon for the rest of this album. It's been a lot of Malice coming up second, but Malice goes first, Pusha T goes second this time. Great reflective bars looking back on both their lives and their careers in rap. So a lot of their bars you can kind of look at as talking not only to the impact that their music has had, but also what they've been going through in the years since they put out music under the name Clipse. And it's a really beautiful send-off lyrically, even if the song itself doesn't have the impact that I would want from a grand finale. So yeah, it's not a grand finale, but it flows really well into the first track. Like, I was listening to this album a lot on repeat, on loop, and it's weird how well this final song kind of just loops into Birds Don't Cry once again. And it almost makes you want to just listen to the entire album on repeat again and again and again, because that Birds Don't Cry album, something I should have said during that section, Birds Don't Cry really feels like it could have been the final track on any other person's album. So for it to naturally vibe into that last track slot on repeat listens, it kind of makes you just want to listen to that first track again. And then once you have, Chains and Whip starts playing with that Kendrick verse, and you're kind of like, oh, well, that Kendrick verse is really good. I might as well listen to the whole thing. And then it goes into POV, and it just makes you want to keep listening. This is a very, very compulsively listenable album. This album is aggressively listenable to. And I think that's a big reason why people are loving it so much, why it's been getting a lot of success, why it's been getting so many high marks. It is so easy to listen to this album. It is so easy to consume this album. But it also is, I wouldn't call it challenging, but it is not necessarily the mainstream tastes I feel that people might be thinking of right now. I feel like, you know, when you think of what's mainstream, you think, honestly, let's talk about the two we all know. When you think mainstream, you think of Drake before you think of Kendrick. Yes, Kendrick won the battle and everything, but when you talk about mainstream music, you think of Drake before you think of Kendrick as being mainstream, despite the fact that they've had similarly mainstream success. And I think that's because you think of a Drake, you think of, you know, more shallow lyrics, more shallow lyricism, and more shallow songs in general. But this Clipse album is definitely more in the Kendrick camp. Very technical rhyming, music that is impressive on a technical level more than a straight sonic level. But also you have the production from a legendary producer like Pharrell. You know, Pharrell is coming in here with these crazy beats that match the rappers that you're rapping with. So yeah, it's just a very, very interesting. It's interesting that this album kind of has the props that it's been getting and has the reputation it's been getting, and it's getting the buzz that it's been getting, because it feels like a bit of an anomaly, or it's indicative of a turning tide in hip hop, of some type of a shift going on. I don't know if that's the case, but it's exciting either way.
To me, the music's always gonna be good. Like we know that part. But what I appreciate about this situation more than anything is like actually being able to turn my back, knowing that somebody got my back, and you know, whichever way I turn, like it ain't been like that.
Knowing people love you, man.
Yeah, it ain't
That's
been
all
like
I'm
that
saying.
for a long time.
You gotta, like, it's gotta be that. It needs people. You need to feel loved and appreciated. You know what I mean? And that's the only reason why I love this as much as I do, because I feel that appreciation. You know, and because of that, that motivates me to like show up and kill everybody in the room.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they asked me to do. That's what I'm here to do.
Let God sort them out.
Yeah.
Amen.
So that's the album. Let God Sort 'Em Out is an incredible work with some of the most energizing instrumentation and most impressive technical rhyming and punchlines I've heard in years. To circle back around to the start of the video though, does listening to this album and considering all the ways in which it's great illuminate why the album is being so greatly received? I spent a whole hour raving about how great I think the music is, but it's more than the music that creates such an immediate positive consensus on an album like this. So let's take a look at some of those elements too. One aspect you can hear in the bars is the closeness of the members. If I haven't made it obvious already, Malice and Pusha T are actually brothers in real life, and you can hear the brotherly love they have for one another in their chemistry. Furthermore, Pharrell has been a collaborator with the group from the very beginning and has been close to both members even in the years since the last Clipse album. This means Clipse is one of the few rap groups in which their producer is a member as well, even if that membership is honorary. This gives Clipse an edge when compared to Slaughterhouse, because the bond between those four was built more on proximity and opportunity than something like familial bonds, and in the case of Clipse's parents, trauma. Because of this, they broke up emotionally well before they officially did so, and the potential of that group was never fully realized. In the case of Little Brother, they also broke up but reunited when they came back in 2019 for May the Lord Watch. However, they were not joined by their longtime producer and legend in his own right, Ninth Wonder.
We wanted Ninth involved. So Ninth agrees. He's like, yeah, man, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of everything. I want to be here for all of it, da-da-da-da-da. We're like, okay, cool. So we start recording, we get into a couple records, and we hit a wall. We gotta spend some time around each other to relearn each other. Tay and I understood that. I don't think Knife really understood that. He was just sending beats over and sending beats over. And even in that, it was like you're sending beats without really understanding where we are musically at this point and where we're trying to go. and you're not even willing to be in a room with us so we can figure that out together.
I won't speculate on why he didn't return, but despite the most recent album getting plenty of acclaim and play from me, I could hear his absence. So much of the album felt dated, in part to the production, in part due to returning bits from 2005's The Minstrel Show, but it didn't feel like the group returned with any intention of reintroducing themselves to new audiences. Instead, they just picked up where they left off a decade later to interesting effects. While the return of those groups went a different way, Clipse does actually have a lot in common with a different hip-hop group, one that also suffered devastating losses during their hiatus, one whose legendary status rallied a number of modern hip-hop legends onto the album as collaborators, and one where their album was widely loved by critics and fans alike. A Tribe Called Quest came back nearly 20 years after the previous album to drop We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, an album that not only memorialized the late great Phife Dawg, but also showed that the group's unique sound and style never really went out of style. Honestly, despite my love for the genre and general familiarity with Q-Tip, the release of this album was my first time really diving deep on the group, similar to my experience with this new Clipse album. It may seem like the buzz around Clipse right now for their album is lightning striking, but before that lightning struck in Virginia, it struck back in 2016 in Queens in strikingly similar ways. Even the themes on both projects are similar sometimes, as legacy and loss often come up on both. It's impressive to consider how both of these groups were able to come back with such praise despite the hardship in their interims, but just because it's rare doesn't mean it's necessarily unprecedented. Malice and Pusha T could have easily never worked with each other again. Malice could have easily continued to make Christian hip-hop for the rest of his life, living comfortably off his royalties from his early rap days. Pusha T could have continued to be the B-tier head of hip-hop and rub elbows with the likes of Kendrick and Jay-Z while continuing to make music that cemented himself as a legend in the game. Pharrell could have easily continued to work with damn near everyone in music and enjoy the flowers that are coming his way in the back half of his career in the form of Lego documentaries. But instead of their dangerous pasts keeping them apart, or their parents passing weakening their bond, or their different levels of star power keeping them alienated from one another, they all found each other once again. But judging from the sheer quality of this record, that couldn't have happened just by chance. There are a million reasons why this Clipse album should have been just another attempt to squeeze nostalgia juice from a barely remembered act, and we've seen those reasons break up other groups, but all of those factors just led to this moment instead. I guess ultimately Clipse didn't have to worry about all the things working against them, because eventually God did indeed sort them out.
What an amazing story. But do you have a hunch, maybe deep down, that the Clipse will get back together in some form someday?
I hope and pray that happens. I hope and pray that happens in one way or another.
Alright y'all, thank y'all for watching. I very much appreciate you sticking around this long into the video. I know this one was a doozy. All my videos are long. Sorry about that. But if you stuck around this time, give me a little bit of feedback here. I'm trying new things. I'm trying to see what works. If you've been on the channel for quite some time, first off, if you haven't been on the channel, I have a lot of different music videos like this, but usually I'm talking over a video game. I'm talking over a gameplay of some sort while talking about a music album or movie review or whatever. You can go back and check those out. But if you're new or if you've been here for a while, tell me what you prefer. Do you like it when I'm on camera just talking about it like this? Do you like it when I'm editing and giving context to certain things I'm saying? Or do you prefer the old school method that I did that was very, you know, machinima 2008 vibes, I guess you could say. Do you like that format? Do you like this format? Tell me what you feel. And also, what else should I talk about? Ooh, another thing I wanted to ask. I did write a review for Kendrick Lamar's GNX, and I put that out around the time it came out last year. A long time ago, back when Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers came out, I made a review on this channel for every single Kendrick Lamar album. Are y'all interested in me doing a video review of GNX based off of that old review that I wrote? If you're interested in that, I can make that. Just make some noise in the comment section or just get at me. But yeah, I'm curious if you guys want to see that. I might go ahead and make that because I can kind of conceptualize it already. But let me know if that's something y'all are starving for. But that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Of course, you want to see more from me, ejsponge61.com is the place you can go. That's my on Blue Sky, which is my main social media platform. But you look up ejsponge61 on anything, that's gonna be me. Also vju.tv, that's where I do Players Club podcast. Welcome to the Thing, that comes out every couple weeks intermittently. And yeah, those are the main places you can catch stuff from me. Of course, this YouTube channel as well, the Twitch channel as well, etc, etc. But that's enough from me. Thank y'all for watching, and as I always say, keep it real, keep it true, and play on, play on. Peace out, y'all. I've never done that with like the hand thing. That felt, I don't know if corny's the word, because it genuinely happened. I didn't plan to do that. You know what? We're just gonna, I'm ending the video. Thank you. Goodbye.